been lucky enough to meet the man from U.N.C.L.E, and here is my memories. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Lovely to see you again today. I hope you're all keeping well today. Keeping busy, of course. It's getting a lot faster now towards Christmas. Have you got your presents done? All that's. I haven't even started the Christmas card list. Don't know where to start, do you? I don't know about you, here, gossiping again I know, but I don't know about you, but I just sort of turn around and think, how does anybody else manage to fit all of this stuff in? And then you look around and think, see, people are so far more organised than you. Stamps, envelopes, I've already got them posted off. Let me know if you've got any of yours posted off. Love to know if I'm the only disorganised one. But of course today I wanted to share a memory with a real, true Hollywood superstar that I was lucky enough to meet and become friends with. And as I've said before, when we have the time, we will dig out these interviews for you because they are truly spectacular. No, I don't mean that in the sense of that I did them, but you know, the insights that these people tell you, the stories. And today I wanted to share with you the story of meeting a true Hollywood legend in the form of course, the wonderful man from U.N.C.L.E, Robert Vaughn. Now, Robert Vaughn, of course, really came to prominence over here in the United Kingdom from that TV series, The Man from U.N.C.L.E, you know. It was the big thing. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but it was one of the TV series, I'm told. I was way too young to remember it, trust me, the first time around, but I do remember the repeats. But I think it was the first big TV series that made a lot of money from merchandise because it was seen as a TV version of James Bond. Is that correct? Would I be right in thinking that? But apparently if you've got a lot of the toys now, they are worth a lot of money. Now, I met Robert Vaughn because he was busy starring in A Few Good Men at London's Garrick Theatre. He was the main attraction, let me tell you. But I had met him previously before at the Rockefeller Center in New York City when I was working for NBC News at that point in the city. Wonderful guy, very down to earth, all that sort of stuff. What I do remember about him though is this. His first big break, he told me, was not as you would have imagined, even though his parents were actor and actresses themselves. But he got his first big break as a spear carrier in the major movie of the 1950s, The Ten Commandments. And he said, well, he looked at the money they paid him and thought, well, this isn't bad really for a day's work, just standing around with a spear. Perhaps I could do something with this. Clever man. Of course, fast forward a few years and he became a Hollywood star opposite the likes of Yul Brynner, other big names like that too, you know the movies. But what Robert was about really was, he was an actor. He told me he didn't really like the fame game. Now what's interesting about Robert himself, and I didn't know this until he told me, was he also starred in a big TV series over here in the latter part of the 60s, early 70s, The Protectors. Now The Protectors was a vehicle really crafted for him. It was made by Lord Lou Grade, you know, the man that brought us things like Sunday Night at the London Palladium alongside Val Parnell, all of those big ITC shows, The Persuaders, The Saint with Sir Roger Moore, you know the ones I mean. Now apparently he came up with the idea, very simply said to the producers, you know, let's build a show around that. They cast Robert Vaughn. Robert Vaughn told me he didn't like any of the scripts, thought it was absolute rubbish, but of course needed a job. So in order to placate him a bit more, they even decided to shoot in European locations. It wasn't like Lou to open his wallet, let me tell you, and shoot anywhere other than Elstree Studios in the middle of Hertfordshire. But even that really didn't persuade Robert to stay and do more. They offered him to direct an episode, he did. Didn't like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that Mr. Vaughn was difficult, but what we can tell you, ladies, is, as we know, he's a very good-looking man, and he only liked to be shot from one certain angle. I believe it was the right side of his face. Now, when we interviewed him in the dressing room of the Garrick Theatre, we'd set up the wrong side. You can imagine how well that went. But of course, we quickly changed that round, and he was absolutely charming, debonair, a true Hollywood star. Now, just previously to that, he'd also appeared in a major soap over here in England called Coronation Street. And apparently the reason why he wanted to do it was a big favourite of his late mother. And a lot of his family watched it, he had apparently family in Canada, so they loved to watch it over there. Apparently the show is huge. Let me know if it still is, actually. So Robert signed on the dotted line for the cobbles of Manchester after a stellar Hollywood career. But as he told me, it's not really about what you're doing right now, it's about what you're doing next. And as he also pointed out, next doesn't necessarily have to be a starring role, but one that challenges you. Let me tell you, when we were at the theatre, we interviewed him over a couple of days, And there were always fans outside desperate to meet him. He was perfectly charming, signed all the autographs, all the things that celebrities don't do today, you know what I'm saying. And it truly was a privilege to meet him. The stories he told me about the likes of Tony Curtis, Joan Crawford, Mamie Van Doren, Cherie North, these were all the blondes apparently that he had to do tests with at his studio. Must have been real hardship, don't you think? But as I say, Robert Vaughn, a true Hollywood star, and lucky was I to meet him. Now, if you want to check out exactly what I'm talking about, there are episodes of The Protectors on the screen, on YouTube, should I say, so check them out there. And also, let me tell you another bit of, association to The Protectors. I was lucky enough to call a friend, still am, the wonderful singer Tony Christie, who sang the theme tune to The Protectors, Avenues and Alleyways. And again, a wonderful story about how he got that particular theme tune job. I'll share that with you sometime soon. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.